Keep 3 in this file.
Okay, we're gonna go live here in a couple seconds, guys, so be nice.
No problem.
He said, look nice.
Look nice. I thought he said be nice.
How you want.
I gotta hear properly.
Okay, we'll call to order at 6 o'clock. We are gonna modify the agenda slightly. We're gonna put number 5 after number 3 and just drop 4 back down. Motion to adopt the amended agenda.
I shall.
Councilor Card, all in favor? Carried. Minutes of regular council meeting of March 10th, 2026. Any errors or omissions?
I'll make the motion to accept it as presented.
Councilor Warwick, all in favor? Carried. Minutes of the committee of a whole meeting, March 25th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Councilor Thorough, all in favor? Carried. Public presentations, I know we have one for sure. Jolene, you wanna kick your can first?
Sure, sounds good. Thank you all for allowing me to speak tonight.
You wanna go
Go up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Lori. Thanks for allowing me to speak tonight. If you don't know me, my name is Jolene Spott. I think most of you know me around the table. I am a leader for 4-H in Hanna. I am the crafts leader, and I apologize that some kiddos aren't here with me because they have a meeting starting at 6 just outside of town. So I'm on my way there right away. Anyway, myself and another member from the community have been accepted to chaperone for exciting experience this summer. We are going to be part of an exchange with the province of Nova Scotia. So there will be 12 members from the Hanna and area region. It's the East Central region of 4-H. If anybody knows where that is located, we're part of the Hanna District, Drumheller District, Coronation District, and Provost District. There are 5 members from Hanna, plus us 2 chaperones are all from Hanna. 7 total from Hanna, 2 from Delia, 1 from Drum, 3 from Brownfield, 2 from Brownfield, 1 from Veteran, and the other one is from Zarn. So anyway, we are accepted to this wonderful exchange. They will be coming here in July to visit us. We will be going there in July, and they will be coming here August 12th to 19th, as far as we know. But the flights are reserved, and yeah, we are getting excited to host these people. We're hoping to do some swag bags and all that kind of stuff. So our ask today is just if you have anything from Hanna, water bottles or whatever, we can add into their swag bags. I will tell you a bit about our tour what we're planning while we're here. We're touring some farms, heading out to the Buffalo Farm east of town, and then heading up to Veteran and doing a bunch of Hutterite colonies and stuff up there, and the feedlot and the auction market. Then we're coming, the next day we're doing Drumheller, and of course doing all the sites down there. Then we're spending a day in Hanna, and we're going to be going to Buckbrush and Cattleman's and all the little shops in town. And Lori is coming up with some experience up at Buckbrush for us. So I'm sure it'll be wonderful, especially with her background in 4-H. And yeah, we're going to be doing a community service project out at out of Glen Indian, doing a nursery project. We're doing community service for them. And then we're going to be off to, I missed Medicine Hat. We're going down to the Indian horses down there. So little bit of culture. There was no rodeos, of course, that weekend that are here. And then we're gonna be going out to Canmore and just showing them the mountains, because when you come west, you gotta see the mountains. So, and then we'll be staying overnight and then they fly back. So yeah, just a quick trip and
All in 7 days?
all in 7 days.
Wow.
Yes, so it is bang, 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 and like they don't get much rest while they're here. So, so yeah, I'm looking forward to the Hanna Day where we're kind of close to home. We are going to be staying out at 18-2 because we can't homestay with 4-H's rules now. So we have to always have 2 leaders with the parents and or with the children, and they can't be. So they can't be on their own in a house. So yeah.
Cool.
So you guys, we don't need anything right away. Like I said, there's 12 of us going to Nova Scotia, and there's 12 of them coming here, plus the 2 chaperones. So we are 28 total. And yeah, if you want to discuss things and see if you can,
I'm sure we can find something for you, yeah.
So you're wanting
28.
it doesn't matter. Like we'll take 14 or we'll take 28, whatever, because a lot of these kids, like I said, 7 of us total are from Hanna, right? But then we also have kids from
How many kids are coming, Jolene? 12 as well?
12 kids coming, yes. 12 kids coming, 2 adults, so 14 from Nova Scotia here. And then, yeah, then we've got the local-ish kids.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
thanks, Jolene.
Yes,
You
thank
kept
you.
it in a 5-minute frame, that's awesome.
thank you.
I was looking at my
Wonderful.
phone going,
I'm
"Wow."
watching meeting now. Thank you. They're practicing judging tonight.
Travel safe.
See you, thank you.
Do we have any other public presentations? Perfect. Moving on. Oh, Stan?
Yeah.
Want to do, okay, 5 minutes?
This would be a change. The mayor and us have decided that we're not gonna talk about Fox Lake anymore for a year or whatever. So
It's not whatever, that's the rules.
that's rules, okay. Today I drove from Manitoba, long drive, here half an hour before the meeting. I stopped and went. I hadn't been to OM for 60 years. And I was pleasantly surprised because my sense is that their main street is in better shape than Hanna's. Doesn't have the new streetscaping. Doesn't have the new sidewalks, it doesn't have new asphalt. But it doesn't have the missing teeth that ours does. It has a railroad, which I'm sure helps for their economy. I notice in building permit stats that there was 500,000 more revenue in building permits than there was in Hanna. The housing costs are probably similar. The housing costs here, trying to sell one's house, there's a glass ceiling on the housing prices. Let's see, I think the most expensive house sold was Cherry and Cal Warner, which is 300 square feet smaller than Mom's house. And we were told by the appraiser that our house, or Mom's house in this market, will only be worth 380,000. I don't agree with that. I don't believe it. I'm getting a second appraisal, but while the mayor's message election boasts about the low cost of housing in Hanna, the flip side is that the value of lots basically is determined by the town reducing building place from 70,000+ to under 20. Which on the one hand is an advantage, on the other hand, it's a big disadvantage, because why would anybody come and invest in middle to upper end housing in Hanna if that was one of their main investments? They would not. So I'm hoping that, I don't know if this council and the previous council acted on any of the information on the housing study. It would seem that they didn't, or you didn't, on the recreational study, and that concerns me. So why would we go through the expense and the efforts of having consultants advise us on housing or recreation and not act on it? If you look at special areas, they promote all the campgrounds. They don't promote cannabis. They promote fishing at Helmer, but you can't fish in Helmer because there's no fish in it. So we need to coordinate with special areas and make sure that the message that we're getting out to Albertans and Canadians that is consistent, you know, with the facts. So the summary, my sense is that, well, I'm disappointed in this council and previous councils. My sense is that you can do better, that you need to do that. And rather than look at housing in north of the lodge, why not consider it Railroad Avenue and see our reservoir where people are attracted to housing? You've got old infrastructure that needs to be replaced, and use that as an opportunity to reinvigorate our county. So anyway, thanks.
Perfect. Thanks,
Mr.
Hanna.
Hutton, I have a question.
Sure.
Just, I'm just curious, when you said that you equated the town of Hanna with, the municipality in Oyen, and you said, we have the missing teeth. What, can you just clarify
Well,
what that might mean? Like, I'm not sure.
Well, there's holes in Main Street. You have holes, whether it's Portage Avenue in Winnipeg, Calgary, wherever, is not a good feel good, look good situation. So Central Gas or Central Garage came out, or Jimmy's that looks run down east side what used to where Warwick's and beaches used to be. That's an extension of special areas building, but there's a park there that you rarely see anybody there. So my sense is that Palliser Planning hasn't been giving the town good advice on urban design and economic development, whether it's is it GFL out near the plant, or out near the highway, which isn't a great look coming into the town of Hanna. So.
Okay, thank you for that. I do have some rebuttals, but because of due to time, I would just pick another time and opportunity to give you my response on that.
And with respect to, I know that Brenda had a question in Foxwood that I couldn't answer, in January. I'd be happy to try and respond to those because I've got lots of thoughts on that. But anybody that wants to talk to me, I'm happy to talk to you about any of these issues. And I spent 14 years with the city of Winnipeg in the planning department as the only architect in that department, dealing with all the urban design in down Winnipeg, all the neighborhood main streets, all the industrial parks. So I've got at least as much experience as anybody in this room to share if you're interested.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you so
Dan.
much.
Senior Administrative Officials Report. Oh, thanks, Dan, for the presentation. Senior Administrative Officials Report, CEO Matthew.
Yeah, through the chair, nothing new to add to that. Winona and I did have a meeting though today with Cube Investments that said we're fully invested and they plan on coming on to the June council meeting to give a debrief to council where they're at and how they see the markets going. So that's good because I don't think we've had that before, so that's a positive. But yeah, nothing more to add to that report.
It's encouraging to see, based on preliminary information, Hannah's eligible for curbside recycling services. Could you just expand on that just a wee bit?
Excuse me, I didn't hear what's been said there. I cannot hear Brenda.
Sorry, I just was commenting on, based on preliminary information, Hannah is eligible for curbside recycling services beginning October.
Yeah.
I'm just asking Matthew to expand on that just a bit.
Yeah, a while ago they reached out and asked us to fill in some forms, just details about Hanna, how many residents, the streets. So because of they call it the consumer producer tax, it's like a producer tax. So there's a tax on producers that they have to be responsible for all the recycling products that they create. So they pay for this service. So because we already have garbage collection, it qualifies us for the recycling. So Circular Materials looks after that contract. So they posted a tender right last year. I think in the summer, did they say went on? I think it was the summertime. They advertised it. So they did a 3-month tender. And I think now they're in negotiations with the people who put the tenders in. So then they'll award that tender. So then they will start doing recycling pickup in the town in roughly October. So it's no charge for us. It's all covered through that producer tax.
That sounds
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Finally getting something for those little recycling fees on our invoices for everything we pay.
Yeah.
Eco fees, that's what it is. Any other questions on Matthew? Hearing none. Community Services, Michelle's report.
Yeah, Michelle's not here, so if you have any questions, I'll try to answer.
I know the play school kids had a ride with the Gashi again, so benefit of that is I get some of the extras brought home, so. They do have a volunteer appreciation night on the 23rd. I'm attending already, but if anyone else would like to come, and it's a good event. Epic is looks like it's getting ready to roll again. We've got Elizabeth King returning. Phenomenal program. I'm pretty fortunate to have grandkids and kids go through it, so spread the word on that one. Lori, Director of Business Communication.
Thank you. I don't have anything further to add. I've been working with the company that's hoping to bring the recycling project into town on their marketing. So we'll see as fall comes closer, trying to be working with them to make sure that all residents will be properly informed as to what qualifies, what the process will be, what it'll look like for the households. So there'll be more information coming forward on that in the summer months. Otherwise, I don't have anything to add. I just provided some statistics that I thought were kind of interesting about the web page. The top pages, it's well used considering our population. Yeah.
It's still cumbersome to get around. I don't know what we can do to. I know I've struggled, and I know where everything is, and I still sometimes have to take a double take. I know when I'm talking to people and trying to tell them how to get to the bylaw complaint form, I'm getting pretty good at that one. But some of the others, it's I don't know. I find it clicky, hard. It's not. It doesn't flow easily. So that's something that maybe we should look at trying to
Closed session.
closed session today, all
I'm
right?
open to any suggestions. We can take them outside of this meeting.
Perfect.
I will comment, our previous website had a 3-click and the goal for this one was a 2. So to get to where you want to go, it should be no more than 3 clicks.
Okay.
Try to do 2 when we can.
Perfect. Thanks, Laura. Mr. Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing really more to add. We've been busy. We're just starting to get out in parks, and Wes has got most of the vehicles serviced, and have a couple of people on conference this weekend, but sounds like we're gonna go back to wet, drizzle weather, so that'll put us back as far as being outside. The guys worked very hard to get the arena ready for the cross, and now we're getting ready for the rummage sale, of course. Definitely a different learning curve. It's kind of exciting. So if there's any questions anybody has.
So floors are done in the pool.
The floors are all done in the pool. We did a walkthrough. There was a few things that Eric and I did not like. There was some discoloration. So they are coming back on Monday to redo them to our satisfaction. So yeah, they look very good. The pool staff has all been hired. The letters went out today, start dates, and we have the research all set up, and we'll do a main clean of the office and we'll go from there.
Any other questions of Brent?
Palliser Trail.
Yep.
Is there something going to be done, like with the cracking and stuff that's in it?
They're coming back for a warranty, go through, same with the east end. There's some deficiencies there. The sidewalk guys have actually reached out. They're planning to be here next week to do a walkthrough to come up with a plan. So yeah, there's definitely something there. What we'll come up with, I'm not sure.
Okay.
You know, we've discussed about having it milled down and the middle done, so the lines are further to the outside of the road. But yeah, there's definitely warranty on it, and that's just starting to roll as well. Of course, this will put us behind because we were gonna get coal mixed with the potholes, and the snow won't help us with that. We seem like everything's later this year, like we seem like we're behind. We generally don't start alleys till after cleanup in May, after the long weekend.
But I think it's perception, Brent. Like we had that 3 weeks of banger nice weather.
Yeah,
And-
maybe.
And all of a sudden, we're all giddy and Nancy, and then
Now
we're
it's
still
always
only 14th of April.
back to reality.
Yeah.
I am happy with seeing Dam, how the culvert and everything looks.
Yeah.
We definitely got a good runoff there. There's lots of water there.
There's more water?
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
lots.
Yeah.
More than we definitely expected.
Good.
Fox Lake, it is going into the lake. We are going down the creek. I did not open it into Helmer. If we can get the lake full enough, we can maybe transfer a little over, but we're not gonna get enough water to fill them both. So, but yeah, other than, yeah, you're right. It is early.
Yeah.
It is-
I know what you're saying, because we're in the same boat. You know, I've got farmers getting antsy, wanting to get in the fields and stuff, and we, guys, it's April 14th, it's not May 14th.
So hopefully this is it. We get another bout, which will give us some more moisture, which will help us out, and then we'll warm up. Hopefully.
Brent, I have a question in regards to the airport lighting, like exactly what lighting is that?
So our new runway lights that are
Okay.
coming, we've been having battle with the outfit since about 2 months in. We've actually had more maintenance on the new LED lights than what we've had on our old system. So I've been fighting with, MPE's been fighting with us. And we actually got a hold of an electrician that does the Calgary airport. They actually were the ones that came out. The last time we were in an OTAM, it actually came uncoupled underground. They came out, they found it, they fixed it, they give us their card. We've seen no bill or nothing because they are fully giving us a report to go back after TriStar to say, you know, they found 3 recommendations on how they can fix our lights. It's blowing boards, not bulbs. So they don't have the right power wattage, they're not.
So
So
averages.
we're coming up with a plan. Right now, everything's working well, and these guys are going to help us. And Matt from MPE is, we're going to bat, and we've got all of our meetings and phone calls to say, you know, this didn't happen a year into it, this happened 2 months, and we haven't had a solution.
So right now, is the airport, is it safe? Is it
Yep.
usable?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Condition of the roads, is it about would this be like a normal winter, like for the
No,
conditions of
our
them,
roads
are they
are
a little bit
terrible.
worse or?
I don't know what happened to them this year.
Well, the
I-
freeze thaw cycle
Was
must have been
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
really significant.
And not enough snow cover, like when we did clean it, it didn't get enough. Some of it are starting to come back, but this is when we drive around, even on our Fox Lake Trail, that road deteriorated really bad from the
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah.
It's just, it was the winter we had. It's
Oh.
not good.
Yeah, just was curious,
Yeah,
I just
Drum
drive
Miller
along
is-
normally, I don't pay attention to
You
it.
go through Drum and the potholes there, they're getting complaints. I've been talking with Stettler, you know, working with the Shale and
Yeah.
their public works team. I've done a couple trips in there. They're saying the same thing. They're getting hammered too.
So on Main Street from the ATV going west, is that a major concern for you? Because the feedback I'm getting is that was really damaged somewhat over the winter.
No, well, you're talking from Home Hardware further west where that dip is, because from ATV, we're probably halfway down the block with new pavement.
Okay.
And then we've got decent pavement to Third Street, brand new pavement from Third Street to the next block.
Yeah.
But right by the car wash, there's some big dips.
Yeah.
We've been
Yeah.
watching
Yes.
those.
Yeah.
And there's a water seam there. If you go on First Ave, the same dip goes all the way across.
Wow.
So this seemed a little worse this year, and we have talked when Brooks comes, we're thinking with our new planer that we bought, we might try to plane it and extend it and see what we can do there. I did have Mr. Moore ask if we had a water leak there, because it is worse this year. But even the service going into the hotel there's a worse dip there as well. So if we had a water leak, the water runs east-west, not, so, it would have come surface. So we are looking at that, but yeah, our roads are really bad this year.
Thank you for getting on them as well too, like, you know, in front of Vasquez, that was getting ridiculous, and wow, you guys just, bam,
Yeah,
done.
as soon as we can get cold mix and like
Yep.
you say, the new planer.
They were out there.
We're just made up a really good plan. Our sweepers out. We're gonna start sewer flushing and working on alleys, and now we're gonna get 6 inches of snow. We'll go back the other way for a little while.
Both avenues, like it's,
Yeah.
it definitely,
Yeah.
you guys did last fall, definitely helped.
And the patch is right near the fire hall there where Dick Paul used to live. We did a few there and they held up really nice. So
Oh, yeah, that's
we plan to keep doing that on 12th because it does help.
Yeah, like it's,
right on.
And that's an ongoing
That's
process.
an ongoing.
yeah.
The planer definitely helped, and then we'll get cold mix and put that in, and just, of course, everything's going up cost wise. Brooks is giving us last year's pricing on our cold mix, so that's good. So yeah,
So the conference was well worth attending?
yes, this year we had lots of discussion on lagoons, and there was, for me, McElhenney did a seminar on grants, how to apply for where to apply. So that was beneficial for me, so
Yeah.
I sit on that. Yeah, and even Wes said there was more towards rural, more towards smaller towns this year. So it was really good. We enjoyed it.
So you had resources, you could come back and then.
Yeah,
work with that.
absolutely. And we met some new contacts. We were talking about trails through town. There's a fellow we met up there that does do trails with paving. He's got the pavers and stuff. He's from Killam. So we have his card that we can reach out and bring him down. We can start looking at some of that.
Yeah, excellent.
So, yeah, it was really good this year.
It's frustrating when you go to a conference and you come back and you go, that was a waste of time.
Yeah.
And it's the only one that divides the CEUs. So, but this year was really, like I said, most of the time it comes back, it's pertaining to treatment plants and sewage plants, where lagoons and stuff, but there was lots of young speakers and. So yeah, it was good. Thank you.
Bylaw, nothing, you got Scott?
Yeah, unfortunately Sky's not here today, but she's left a pretty detailed report on what kind of issues she's been dealing with dogs and traffics and one noise complaint, so, yeah, hopefully she's back for the next meeting.
I presume she didn't make a trip to Prairie or Youngstown during this reporting period.
I had some people comment on our dog problem that we had on Main Street. That they feel that there's probably more than 3 dogs in there again.
Is that the Main Street one, or is that
Yeah.
the lady we've already dealt with?
They've been dealt with
The
once.
one that had an excessive amount of
Yeah.
dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope she does again.
Do we
Yes.
know for a fact that she does, or do we?
We have conflicting reports. Nobody's seen multiple dogs, more than 3, but we have reports that there are more than 3. So, you know, Sky and Brent have both been monitoring when they drive by, if they see anything. So, yeah, it's always on our radar. It never goes away. So we just have to keep our eye on.
And Sky has been reaching out to the SPCA. She's got filed complaints. She's asked them to come out and help. She's actually reached out to health. Because even though the dogs look like they're being looked after, they live in quarters of the house, and the fact that they're not socialized. So she is working hard to get other resources to help us. It's just hard to do. They're just not responding.
Yeah, there's no doubt it's easy button, especially when the owner doesn't cooperate.
100%. So she is still working on it, so if you do hear complaints, she's trying to do the right channels, and nothing's ever fast.
Mhm.
Said that he would-
And now being sick, she won't be able
I don't know.
for a little bit.
Any other questions you can think of for Sky? I guess we'll keep working on our dog issues, as frustrating as that is.
Mhm.
So can we get a motion to accept all,
We go to 4.5 and then.
oh, sorry, buddy. Accounts payable, 4.2. I'll get trained.
You have to submit that anyhow.
Yeah,
You have to submit.
Easy.
any questions?
No.
Statement of revenue and expense, 4.3.
I'll make a motion to accept.
No, we do them all at once now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just trying to.
We're all learning here together, so, 4.4 budget overview. Four point five capital overview.
Can I just back up?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, bear with me. What is common goods? Can you help me with that?
Where you at? Sorry.
Am I,
Are you
Too
in
far
accounts
ahead?
payable or are you in 4.2?
I thought it was in 4.2, that's why I brought it up.
It's an accounts payable. Accounts payable.
Statement of revenue and expense, so my apologies.
Under what, for 31?
Yeah, can you, just give me like common services.
Common services?
Yes.
Is, yeah. So that's Brent's area.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Yeah, Public Works.
Okay.
So 4.5 capital overview. So this is where the new stuff comes into play. A motion to accept account 4.1 4.2, 4.3, 4.5 for information.
You can just say to accept consent.
Okay, or I can just say consent agenda or motion. Counselor Warwick. I am trainable. Public presentations, we have already covered that. Delegations, Martha, your time to shine.
Did we need to vote on the?
Don't we vote on?
Oh, sorry, all in favor?
Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you, Counselor. Public presentations, Mark, your time to shine. No? Mr. Moore? Carry on. New business. VIC Harvest Sky.
Yeah, through the Charter Council, this is to renew the agreement to, with VIC, which, Thomas runs through the summer, so it's, it lists what our responsibilities are, what their responsibilities are. It's also look after training and staff, advertising, equipment. We look after the utilities. The biggest thing is we cover any shortfall that the VIC encounters throughout the year. So good thing is I think Thomas has already got one grant to help. Not the summer student one, the summer jobs, but he got another grant that will help reduce the cost. So that's a positive. We're still waiting to hear back about the summer jobs grant, but yeah, so yeah, just looking to get council approval to renew that agreement.
I'll make a motion that we accept the agreement.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Carried. Special areas, special meeting date, April 29th. Matthew, that's, I'm assuming our,
Committee of the whole.
committee of the whole.
Yeah, through the chair, we're just looking to change that because we have to approve the audit that the auditors have done. They have to have somebody by, I believe, the 1st. So this is the last chance. And because the committee of the whole, we can't pass motions, we'll change it to a special council meeting and cancel the committee of the whole so that motion can be passed.
Motion. Councilor Kroll, all in favor? Carried. Community center roof coding.
So, Cooper Roofing had reached out, because we had talked about this in our budget, about the $80,000 for the roof. We didn't have any history on it. So I talked with Marcel and we discussed that we would maybe bring it back to our spring budget. As it was looking, we didn't think the funds were going to be there, so I wasn't overly worried about it. And then Marcel reached back out and said, so what they could do for us is they could, from the 80, they would go down to 76. And then they did have a winter offer, so they would drop it to 74,000. The reason being, he said, is there was back history. So 5 years ago, they redid all of the screws, resealed everything. They at that time told Kevin and Gwen that we have a 5-year warranty on that, and we should do something on the roof that's starting to get bad before that ends up running out. So he said that if we wanted to go ahead, they would drop it to 74, give us 2 years extra warranty, and if there was any of the screw bolts that needed to be resealed, they would do that at no cost. If we wait till next year's budget, he's saying the average cost to redo the screws will be $16,000. And there's an increase on the 28th of this month of 10%. So even if we stayed at the 76 or up to the 80, we would be looking at probably 85,000.
90.
So, and only 10-year warranty. They only have white and gray as a color, but he sent me pictures. So they'll only do the roof. The red skirting around the bottom will stay the same, so it'll just be a white roof. White is a better reflective. It will keep the building cooler. So I guess I'm asking on behalf, if we have 45,000 in reserves, if we were to take 31 roughly out of general revenue, we could get it done. I believe the savings and the extra warranty would be beneficial to us. And of course.
So that's a recommendation. that you
That's a
have for
recommendation.
Council.
for council.
Well, it needs to be done, right?
This year, next year, it is
It
getting
has to be
worse.
done either way. I'd rather pay less for it.
Yeah,
Well, if we can save $15,000 doing it this year, I
That's, yeah,
think it's kind of
seems like a no-brainer, yeah.
Spend the warranty.
Yeah, and extra warranty, and they would get on, it. We'd have to send them a check on Friday just to hold the materials. Around 29,000, just be over 25,000. And then, they would start the work right away, get over here and make sure to get on top of it. So at the end of the day, if we add on the 10% and there's probably going to be another increase, they figure in August, we're probably potentially saving 29,000.
if we can save money and have adequate work, it's a win-win.
I don't see any other option.
Yeah.
It's the joys of owning a building and you have to maintain it or.
Well, if we don't maintain it, what's the,
Yeah, it's gonna really
what's the
cost. It's just
consequence?
gonna be- And if I'd have had the background information, which I had said to council I would get for you, we probably would have made that decision at the start of the year and moved a few other things.
Yeah.
But with the reserves that we have, pulling out of our general reserves at 31, probably not, the savings will be beneficial.
And then we have an adequate.
What is our community center reserves? Is that depleting that completely? Is
It would,
that would be,
and then we would start putting it back in.
okay.
Well, that's what that money is for.
Yeah.
And if we, like I said, we save 20,000 and it's inevitable, we gotta do it. So I think we just do it now and yeah,
I'll make
sorry,
that motion.
I hate that. Councilor Urban makes a motion
Yeah.
to,
Approve the withdrawal of the, well, what do you want, the whole thing, or?
no, just approval to go ahead with the
Yeah.
project and no
Approval
reimbursement.
to give her. Yeah.
All in favor of Erica's motion? Okay. Unless you really want to get windy.
No, I said I'm making a motion to just give her. Do the rest.
Give her deed.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay. Nine point 9.1.
Yep.
I lost my mouse. Community. Holy cow, why can't I say that? Community standards. That's fairly straightforward, Danny. Yeah, the standards got me buggered up.
So through the chair of the council, Sky's been working on a new community standards bylaw. We have several bylaws that kind of cover this, but they're in different bylaws. So the idea is to group it all together as one. So unfortunately, she's not here to answer any questions. So council can either just look to do one reading on this and wait till Sky's back to, ask questions and fine tune if you have any suggestions to change it. Or you may want to table it until Sky's back, or if you have any questions now, maybe I can answer them, but yeah, Sky's been working away on this.
I think if we just table it until the next meeting,
Yeah.
there's no point making having a first reading on something that we know very little to nothing about, so.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have her here to
Okay.
ask questions too.
So we'll table that for the next meeting?
Yeah.
9.2, utility bylaw.
Yeah, we had some unexpected costs with Big Country Management, so there was a extra increase of 61,000, so we need to make account for that in our utility billing, so that's a part of this bylaw. And also added to this is, we send out a lot of paper bills, and paper bills are time consuming and expensive, like staff time, the envelopes, the paper, the printing, the stamps. So we want to try to encourage people to go paperless.
Yeah.
So we thought that you see a lot of municipalities will add a fee for paper bills. So we're looking to add $5 a month if you continue to add paper. So, if with the majority of people go paperless, it saves a lot of time, saves a lot of cost as well, which that money can be used elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I think the rates are in there for Winona.
Should we maybe go the other way? I don't want to penalize someone that doesn't have a computer, doesn't understand a computer. I would sooner offer
A discount?
a discount for anybody that goes online, incentivize it. And
I like that.
So in other words, add to the total for everyone,
yeah, actually
And
total
then
for everybody and then
deduct.
deduct as a cost saving.
I think we talked about some other options as well, and there are some limitations with our software that might make that suggestion
Not
more
attainable?
time consuming.
More time consuming.
Yes.
Yes.
Right now, there's about 200 people that are on the email.
That's it?
Yeah.
I believe it.
Of 13,
Yeah.
we send out roughly 1,300 water bills.
Yes, you do.
200
I work at the post office.
you do, on email. With our system, it's, we can toggle off who is on the e-billing, like we can put the charge on, and then anybody who gets their bills emailed, we would just, toggle it off so they wouldn't get charged that. I'm not sure what you were, how you were wanting us to do that, Mr. Mayor.
Well, so obviously we need to increase our utility bills to cover the cost at the countrywide.
Yeah.
So I think if we increase our bills accordingly to whatever number we need to be at, and then for the ones that are doing the e-billing, give them the rebate. We're gonna have to juggle some numbers, obviously, but I think to incentivize the computer e-billing, I think instead of penalizing people that are not, ultimately we're doing the same thing, but it's just incentivizing people to get on the e-billing.
I'm
That's
not
my
sure if
thought.
we can do rebates on our system, like with our programs. I'm not sure if we can do a negative
Okay.
number on a water bill.
So for example, the system won't allow a 1% reduction on the water bill.
No.
Automatically.
And is there another means to send it out, different than email? Like, can we text them? Is that an option for us? I know, everybody has so it has to be by.
My concern is we just have a huge amount of seniors in this community that don't necessarily use computers and phones for these things. I'm always helping my grandma with this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't want to make it harder than it needs to be for people.
Yeah, but we're doing estimations. We don't have the actual facts in terms of how many people don't have computers, for example, right? That would need to access paper bills. So we're not sure, right?
Oh, definitely.
But again, it's a service that we're providing, the envelope and the time stamp, that's a service that has a cost.
It must be a pretty significant cost every second month.
Yeah.
Well, 13, worst case scenario, 13 times $1.50 for your stamp and your envelope. You're looking at 13 times $2. You're looking at $2,600 every 2 months.
Yeah.
Approximately, never mind time. So
Sorry, so you want to charge $5 to be paperless? I'm just looking at this at Schedule A. Paperless charges.
If you get it mailed to you, you're charged $5.
Right, but why does it say paperless
Sorry,
charges
that was
$5? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was gonna say, why are we making
No,
people pay
I
to
thought I
get?
had everything changed, but no.
No, it's
sorry,
all good.
That was me.
All right, no, just as long as that's not the case, we're good.
I look at it, before you could do this, you gotta let people know and give them advance notice that you're going to start charging. It'll get people maybe to come in, but if you just start charging, you're gonna have more people at your front desk.
well, no, I think we have to adjust our,
You got to, but.
Yeah, we have to
you gotta
adjust.
give,
but all you have to do with that is when we start sending out notifications, and making it more awareness
Awareness,
again,
yeah.
that, hey, if you wanna save $5 on your water bill, go electronic.
That's
Market it.
$5 a month, you're saying?
No,
No,
$5.
The water
Oh,
bill
every
is
2
what
months.
it is. Yeah, for the-
Right,
Yeah.
still.
I really like your concept, Mr. Mayor, in terms of an incentive rather than.
Mhm.
It's just an incentive,
consequence
again,
of
that's,
making that
that's
choice.
taking up the cost of the utility, not the cost of the time.
Yeah. But the system is pretty
It's
cumbersome
a
to
dollar,
allow
doesn't
that.
matter where you put it. It's $5, doesn't matter where you
Well,
put
I
it, call
pay
it what
mine
you want.
online, but I still get a paper.
Your waste basket, your utility bill, that's
Can be changed.
plus $5 or minus $5.
But we're charging a fee for that without the detail.
But we do live in a society where paperless is becoming a norm. And though we have some folks that don't have access to computers or et cetera, perhaps there's some provisions we can make for that, but to, I mean, this is there's gonna be a day where there won't be any stamps, folks. And I know that, right? So, businesses, whether they're public or private, have to look at alternatives. Because the stamps are going to likely be, I can speak from County Post point of view, that they're looking at perhaps 10 years, 10, 15 years to get rid of that process. And
Well,
I mean, and it might not happen, but, letter mail is a thing of the past.
Is this something we have to decide on tonight, or can we brainstorm on this a little more? Cause I'm not comfortable
You can
okaying
probably
it.
leave the $5 fee, but the other you do need to pass.
Yeah, the $5 fee, I'm not comfortable.
Yeah, we can read the motion to, we can do more.
I don't mean, I mean like all of us, like brainstorm and.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
'Cause I think you're
Well, we do
on-
have to implement an increase to
yeah.
cover a big.
oh,
increase
absolutely, I
resolution,
just don't
so.
know about yeah.
Motion. For the increase for mid-country. Counselor Hunter. All in favor, begrudgingly. Carried.
Okay, so that was.
That was first reading.
Yeah.
Second reading. Counselor Thurl. All in favor? Carried. Unanimous consent. Counselor Hunter. All in favor? Carried. Third and final reading. Counselor Carr, please. Can I take that?
No.
Okay,
No, thank you.
need a third motion for third and final. Counselor Rohrbach,
You almost got it.
yeah, all in favor and carried.
And that's amending it to take out the $5 and just do the. Okay, thank you.
Anti-bullying bylaw 9.3.
Through the chair to council, we discussed this at our last committee of the whole meeting. We had the vice principal and RCMP here to discuss this. And the fact that our bylaw, our bullying bylaw was never used over the years, like most municipalities, and could create more issues. It's just advisable that we repeal that bylaw. We're already began working on the facilities code of conduct. We've been looking at other municipalities, and we think that's probably the best way to go. We'll implement that. Staff is still working on that, so we'll probably bring that to a committee of the whole meeting to discuss, and then pass to the future council meeting.
Kind of one of those things, you have a bylaw, but you can't do anything with it, so it's really no point in
Well,
having
it
it.
doesn't have any teeth.
Nothing, no.
So if we can get a motion to repeal bylaw,
964.
yes,
I shall make the motion that we repeal the anti-bullying bylaw.
so first reading, all in favor? Second, Counselor Rohrbach. Unanimous consent. Counselor Carr. Third and final. Council Kroll. All in favor? Carried. Election bylaw policy 2026-03. Mr. Matthew.
So again, through the Charter Council, the council's direction, we looked into election bylaws in regards to candidates' criminal record checks. The most complete one was the city of Calgary that we looked at and thought we would base ours upon. So there was some questions that I had regarding either what council's preference was, a criminal record check or a police information check as a part of this bylaw. So we can get direction on that, and you could probably go ahead and do first and second meetings of this bylaw if you're happy with it, and we'll bring it back for third with either criminal record check or police information check in there.
Can you clarify the difference between
criminal record check includes criminal convictions only. It's less intrusive and more commonly used in smaller municipalities. The police information check is broader in scope, may include non-convictions and police interactions used by larger municipalities such as Calgary. So I believe the police information check is more detailed.
Okay, Councilor Warwick?
So I have just some questions in regard to this. First and foremost, I guess the real question is why are we looking at this policy at this time, when in fact there is policy around this, like the building bylaw in the Election Act that, you know, pertains to criminal activity. When I go through the Election Act and read it, I mean, it's very, you know, precise. A person is disqualified if they're currently in custody serving a sentence, or they are convicted of specific election-related offenses. But I mean, they can run. There's nothing that really empowers us to convict these. So we're just gathering information. We're getting these criminal criminal records, and I mean, I'm concerned. Too, if we have a staff member, you know, getting that information to me, we'd have to look at getting somebody externally to get those records so that we're not, you know, storehousing and having that information. And we can all say, you know what, there's FOIP and there's confidentiality and stuff, but it always does still pose a problem. I'm just, you know what, I'm just concerned what it actually says in the Election Act. So versus what we're doing, putting it into bylaw. And I guess that's where, you know what, I don't see all this information in there, but I've done my own research here. You know, if they're currently incarcerated at the time of nomination or election, then of course they can't run. You know, there's certain things like that. But really, there's no law that really supports getting the information, having the information before us with our election officer, holding that information. What are they doing with it? How are they enacting it? Other than what it specifies in here under the Local Authorities Election Act, which is our governing power anyhow.
I think the intent, and correct me if I'm wrong, is to allow our returning officer some latitude to see if a person is actually truthful on their declaration. There's nothing stopping a person from stating that they are a Canadian citizen. There's nothing stating that they have a clean record. Our returning officer has no tools in her toolbox to deal with this.
However, as it's a best practice concept among a number of organizations, and it is designed to be a deterrent. That is one of the main primary reasons that in a lot of most jobs nowadays in certain fields require that kind of thing. As I mentioned at the previous council or committee of the whole meeting or wherever it was, some of our committees that we serve on require us to have
a criminal record check.
And can you specify those? Because I have never been to this state.
Lynx was the first one I had to go and
They
get.
actually asked you to require.
I went down to the police station and
Food bank.
very, very
Food
happily,
bank,
the
yeah.
food bank, you
Yeah.
have to have a criminal record
Absolutely.
check.
Okay, I've never seen that in the documentation that we've received from them. I've never seen that indicated on there, in regards to, you know, and I'm not opposed. I'm just saying that, you know, I'm just streamlining it with what we have already over and above us in the election authority. Like, you know, so then we, you know, I think it's precarious when you have some of that information. So you give your returning officer that information to say that the citizen may, so what do they get to do with it then? They can't take it. They cannot take that criminal record check beyond what they have right there. They can't report it. They can't take it to the officials or the authorities. They have no jurisdiction according to the Election Act to actually, I think there's a lot more research that needs to be done on this, because I'm not reading anything of the information that we're getting other than what I'm reading from the Election Act, and it is not streamlining itself with the information that we have before us. It makes it very precarious. And I'm just gonna use one example here. I had somebody come to me and said, I have a criminal record. And I said, okay, you're an outstanding citizen. You have a professional capacity in our community. You have a criminal record. Should I ask you what it is? You know, probably not. It's none of my business, but you know.
You can ask an applicant, certainly in a job interview, you can ask that applicant to disclose the nature of their criminal record check.
So even though they have this conviction before them, and they have sat in the governing position, and they are that person in community, yeah, I think there's lots of variables that come to mind of, you know, would I trust them? Would I have them making decisions on behalf of my municipality? Some of these people already have.
The big
How's it
thing,
roll?
the big thing is like at the food bank, you have to have a criminal check. But those that are coming up and gathering their gift bags, they just come in there. They can walk in there, they don't have to have any kind of a, you know, present anything to say that they're as good as I am behind the table.
To collect food that's being donated,
Yeah,
but I think that's a whole other.
but I have to have it to hand it out to them.
Right, I get that.
So that makes no sense to me.
I guess I also wonder though, what are there's criminal charges and there's criminal charges. Which
Well,
ones
there's
are,
criminal charges and there's criminal convictions.
yeah, but there's minor ones in the real, you know, somebody had a DUI 25 years ago. Then there's, what are the criminal charges that we want to use to disqualify somebody?
Mhm.
It would
I mean,
only be-
that's-
it would only be the elections
Yeah,
authority.
because I think that would need to be something that would need to be clarified, you know,
Nothing.
if we were doing something like this.
Maybe that's something we need to bring up as a notice of motion at Alberta Munis.
Is the Elections Act specified, the crime?
Yeah, it's,
Sorry,
anything
I
to do with-
understand. I'm
anything to
not
do with
hearing what's being
elections.
said here. I'm
Does the
sorry.
Election Act specify the crime?
It's my understanding the Elections Act specifies.
Yeah, it
the
does.
offense.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very clear, what I read and what I researched is that it is very much associated with, in the past, example, past 5 years with regard to things like corruption, embezzlement,
Mhm.
money laundering, those kinds of offenses that would preclude somebody from running for public office because you're destroying the position of trust. And that is the whole idea of a criminal record check, is to ensure that the public has the position of trust.
If I can through the chair, it's like people can run for council and they haven't lived in that community for 6 months and can tell people that they have, but then there's no recourse from that. They might have only lived there for a couple of months, but they're on there and they're going to get elected. So this gives us another level to make sure that anyone who's broken these rules, we know that they have broken these rules. And again, we're not worried that they, you know, robbed a store or some other petty things. We're not worried about that. We're worried about, do they comply? And we can see that they comply. It's like finding out if someone would like to know if someone was a Canadian citizen, or if they've lived
I was gonna ask about citizenship, that's part of it.
or if they have lived in a municipality for more than 6 months to qualify for the election, because it has happened. You know, the municipalities, people have not lived there long enough and they have run for office and got elected. So it just gives us another tool, I guess, to make sure that they are compliant at that level. But still, there are others we have to.
I mean, I'd like to see, like what Brenda was saying with the election, I would like to see what the Elections Act said. I have not looked at it. You know, I'd like to see, just due to the fact that if we make one, I want to make sure that we are making a proper, you know, a proper bylaw with it as well, too. I mean, I do know that many people who I've chatted about going on council and not having to do a criminal record check, they couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And frankly, I couldn't believe it because I did my first one in 1993 to work at a charitable group. But if we are going to do this, we have to make sure that it's proper and we don't make something that we would regret.
I think one must also remember that when there's a requirement for a particular, for example, candidacy for council, and it's later in discovery has been determined that that particular candidate or even member of council has not followed or not complied with the requirements for that particular council in that particular community, that there is recourse.
Are you saying once they're on council, or you're saying?
Well,
and
the
that's all
MGA
they
makes
do.
it clear.
It
That there
makes
is,
it very clear in the Election Act. They
but
talk
the
about the financial.
MGA makes it clear.
And the MGA, you're right, but, and I'm not opposed, I just wonder if it's an overlap of what we're trying to do here and put this in the hands of our election officer, which really is tying their hands because there's nothing they can do about it
But it's the
anyhow.
same thing with the declaration around the Canadian citizenship. That the election, the returning officer has the same dilemma. There is no recourse. Even if there's perhaps no evidence that that individual is a Canadian citizen. I don't see the difference.
I would like to say that there was a news article written about our committee of the whole meeting and the discussion of this. It was like beyond supported by the people in the community. I've actually had people come up to me and say, I think it's excellent you guys are looking into this. A lot of people commented that they had no idea this wasn't something that we had to do previously, and they're surprised. So I really haven't had any negative feedback, and I haven't seen any online. Everybody seems very much like this is a no-brainer.
My goal when I introduced this for council's consideration was another feature to act as a deterrent for those folks who've made, who were involved in situations or have been involved in convicted situations where it would destroy the public trust of that individual on council. And that was my goal, is to act as a deterrent. As I said, there's no difference between this particular suggestion or recommendation than there is with regard to the returning officer she can't verify Canadian citizenship either.
I think it's just better to protect ourselves and the integrity of council.
So by doing this, you're gonna have to help me here. So if we have this requirement to run in our community, we have to be able to give our returning officer the parameters of what is allowed and what is not allowed. She does not have to disclose that to the public,
That's
but if it
correct.
does not meet our
It cannot be
parameters,
disclosed
then
to the public.
it will not be disclosed.
Yeah.
But if it does meet our parameters, and it doesn't matter if it's whatever we come up with,
Yeah.
and Canadian citizenship being one of them, to me, I think we come up with those guidelines, and that's why we have a returning officer. to give that person the power and the guidelines to follow, so we're not jeopardizing an opinion. I think if we do it properly, I think it's a great tool, but I think we need to do it properly. And, yeah, I'm hearing what everybody's saying. Councilor Warwick's smiling at me, so
Well,
I'm not
Mr.
sure
Mayor, I
if
just
that's
wanna
a
say this.
sarcastic smile or a.
No, I get all that we're saying. I respect this. And I value this conversation and where we're going with it and the protective measure. I just feel like our hands are tied, because so then if somebody makes a declaration to I'll just use Winona because she's our returning officer, and says, I'm a Canadian citizen, how are you gonna dispute that? And what are you gonna do with that after you get that information?
If
Like,
that person
there's
is,
not a thing she can do about it. That's
there
what
is,
I'm
if we
getting
give
out
her
of
the,
this.
if we give her the tools to refuse that nomination based on criminal record check that doesn't meet A, B, C, D, E, isn't a Canadian citizen, you have to, if this is what we're gonna do, then we need to be able to provide proof of Canadian citizenship.
Yeah.
We need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, if you have any one of those on your criminal record check or whatever we're calling it, you do not get to run. And she just, at that point in time, our returning officer will just not accept that nomination paper.
So that poses another, this becomes a legal situation then, because it says what does not automatically disqualify you. Having a criminal record in general does not disqualify you.
Right, and
Or
Never said it
having past convictions outside election related issues.
Yeah.
You know, so,
Correct.
so then, so we're now gonna empower our returning officer to take a stand that could be a legal issue to say that somebody cannot run in a municipal election based on such evidence that she has been given, when she's bound by FOIA or POLAC, which is, I mean, it's precarious. I've spent 2 hours on this, trying to go back and forth last night, just trying to, equate one to the other. And you know what, I almost think we need to do some advocacy at a greater level, because I feel like our hands are tied according to the Election Act.
Well, as I said, maybe this is something, and I hate to say this as much as I notice emotion at the AGM, maybe this is something that we need to bring forward as a community.
I guess the thing that I can't, where I'm struggling, is that it is such a mainstream activity everywhere else in society that I fail to understand how it would be so complicated here.
I feel the same. It's like a basic requirement to coach children's volleyball or to volunteer in the community. But to sit on council where we're making very important decisions for our community, we don't want to know that we have people with integrity that.
But we're not, and the thing of it is, we're not unique. Like the city of Calgary is already doing this.
Yes.
Other communities are already doing this. So we're not, it's not like we're grabbing the ball and running down the field without any idea of where we're going. We're just following what somebody else is already doing. I think it's a great idea. Myself,
So don't you think the public is a good enough judgment on that?
But you can have somebody that moves here within 6 months. You and I don't know them at all, Fred.
And they're not gonna get elected. They don't know enough people in the town to
I
get
got
elected.
elected and I don't lived here for 6 years. Nobody knows a thing about me and somehow I'm here, so. But I'll give you a criminal record. I have no problem.
That's democracy. That's the one freedom we have.
We've
I
elected
just,
dead
my
people.
biggest thing is just that, like the bullying bylaw, we have the superseding law that, has, really defined the whole process. And it just makes me wonder, I mean, I do respect, Brenda, that you say it may be a deterrent. That would be great. If it was a deterrent, for, if we had the bylaw for those individuals, but would it be? Like, I don't know. That would be hopeful, thinking that, if somebody was, had a criminal record or offense or whatever that may be, that it would be a deterrent for them to put their name forward. But my biggest thing is our hands are so tied in it, even though we would have the bylaw. I mean, getting that information, I feel like it would just really would be unsettling to have that information held by one person in this office and have to just sit on that and can't do a darn thing about it. I mean, it's very unsettling in so many ways. And I guess my other thing is I don't really have a full understanding of the difference between a criminal record check and I know, thank you, Matthew, that you kind of did explain some of the police information check. But I'd like to really have definitives on exactly what each of those are.
Okay, I think we beat this horse to death, which is good. It's great.
Yeah.
Discussion, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think what I would like to do is I'd like to have first and second reading.
Okay.
Everybody, put your head to nose to the stone. If you have something that you really, really feel strongly about before we do third and final, we'll at that time address it.
Okay.
Okay,
So, Mr. Mayor, I would just recuse myself from voting because I don't have enough information at this time.
that's fine.
You could take it to community as well.
Okay,
So it kind of, there's a cost, but doesn't want that to cost so much.
CO Norbert has suggested maybe we can still do first and second reading and still take it to legal and see what their opinion is on it.
Well, I'm sure Calgary did.
Yeah, okay, for sure.
Yeah. I don't wanna go down this heated and cut the oath. No.
You just want to table it until we get some more information. That would be the way to go.
What is your concern, Councilor Kroll?
Well, I don't know anything about the law or whatever, and are we going down this the right way or what, you know?
So as I said, we can give it first and second reading. You can do your homework. CEO Norberton can talk to Brownlee, spend some money and make sure that we have it right. And then we can do third and final reading.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Just, is it a recommendation for all our staff and employees with the town of Hanna to have an either criminal record check or police information check?
That would be Mr. Norberton.
No, it's,
You don't have one?
You
It is
don't?
for the fire hall.
it's
Yeah.
usually for recreation. I've done it if I've had rec jobs. It's where you usually interact with youth or vulnerable people. But in my position,
vulnerable.
in C, so I believe all rec in our municipality would have a criminal record check.
Do you have a vulnerable persons check?
In previous jobs I've had to, where I've worked in rec, where I've had to, I've worked in a rec center, so there's kids around and stuff, but
But the staff are not required.
not in like the senior staff role, they wouldn't be.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Fire hall, anybody that goes to fire hall is,
Yeah, I knew that.
we ask if they would do one when we interview. And most of them said they would have no issue with it. We haven't overturned our staff a lot to actually get one, but
So why are some requested then? Like what grounds? What's a concern if somebody has a criminal record?
well, for the fire hall, your criminal record, you're working very expensive equipment, very expensive access to the facilities, which is the same for our facilities as well.
And do you identify what kinds of, is there an identification process around what kind of offenses would preclude somebody from being a volunteer firefighter?
We've actually, anybody that we've asked, if they don't want to give us one, they don't come back.
Mm.
So
And I
it is a
think-
deterrent.
Yeah, and I think, again, if I can just reinforce, with respect to my motion, the offenses are very, very specific, or ought to be, and with a time frame as well. Typically, most offenses, when you're looking at criminal, except of course, the vulnerable persons check, that precludes somebody from ever working with young people.
Yes.
As in the case of certainly the profession that I had.
So there's
Um,
3 different checks then? I'm just hearing now.
Yes, there's 3
Now
different, there's the
there's-
vulnerable person
Okay,
check
so
as
I'm not
well.
familiar with this.
So
one
the
either.
vulnerable person check is simply, if you work with youth, young people,
Or
anybody,
seniors.
or seniors, anybody in a position of vulnerability,
Okay.
you need those particular checks.
It's just like another box you check off when you go and get your criminal record check done. They just ask if you're working with vulnerable people and you
Yeah.
check yes, and they do that part as well.
Yeah.
Easy, easy.
And I can assure you that if there is a conviction under that piece, that you would not be entitled to a
Some
position.
allegations
Yeah.
will come up as well too. with that.
Well,
So
the
which is-
allegations can't show up on the check.
Okay, they change that then.
Yeah, I asked, why was this even brought up? Like,
Because
because
if I may,
Yeah.
when I sought my candidacy for counselor, I was shocked that this was not required.
That was actually one of the first things we discussed, was the fact that we were both
Like,
very
we're in
surprised
a
we didn't need
position
one.
where we have to have the public's trust, and yet we don't even have a criminal record check.
Okay. I'm going to table this. We're going to get Matthew, our town, to reach out to Brownlee, spend some money, and make sure we have it right. Okay?
I can make a suggestion, is that 100% necessary? I mean, we could, I think to, conferring with the RCMP to find out what these 3, record check, information check, and that vulnerable person check would be. Also maybe reaching out to, another municipality and
Matthew
finding
did.
out what measures they took
Mhm.
to put this, I mean, I haven't done any research myself in questioning anybody or looking into other municipalities that have this, what this looks like and how the wording would work around it.
At the
Okay,
committee of the whole meeting, Matthew had
recommendation
her
is for a
places.
motion to table this and have administration look into it further. Counselor Hunter's got his finger up. All in favor? Counselor Worbeck?
To table it.
No, we're actually having direction for administration to look into it further.
With our lawyers or?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're to look into the legalities,
Yeah.
or like, what specifically?
I think just to make sure that the bylaw
It's enforceable.
Did you look at the bylaws for the other municipalities that have this?
Yeah, and we brought that to committee of the whole
Yeah.
last time, and this is strictly based on Calgary's,
Yes.
which a big city would have a legal team, they wouldn't throw something out, so it was like if it was the village of somewhere, then I probably wouldn't want to copy theirs, but.
Didn't you list though other municipalities that
Yeah,
already
there
have
was
this in
2, I
Florida?
can't
There's
remember,
2
there's
other ones.
2 other
Okay.
ones
Yeah.
that have this as well, but
Yeah.
Calgary's was more,
Yeah, theirs was bigger,
was
obviously.
better.
Very detailed.
Yeah, but again, with all bylaws, we're tied with what we can and cannot do. This, again, exists as a deterrent, but it's a deterrent to people who've done things against the Elections Act.
Mhm.
You could still end up with a councillor who has a criminal record a mile
Oh,
long,
totally.
but just because they have not broken anything on the Elections Act, they're still, and, if she got a criminal records check that did have somebody who had broken Elections Act, she would take it to the municipal affairs, and
Yeah.
that would determine what happens to that person, if
Yeah.
they're allowed to run or not.
Yeah.
I think if somebody, it does have a deterrent of people who have broken Elections Act, but it also has a deterrent of people who think, I'm not gonna get on because I did this when I was 20 years old and now I'm 50. So we would have to be very clear, if you went ahead with that we're only looking for these certain things that break the Elections Act. We're
And the
not,
nomination packages are fairly clear in terms of, the nomination package that certainly I received and reviewed certainly was fairly clear with regard to what was required.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for administration to seek legal advice on this bylaw. All in favor? Carried. 10.0 council reports.
2 pages.
2 pages, look at you go, Peter.
Most of them are. Lines are big letter.
Any questions, concerns?
No, I just passed my notes.
Yeah.
I wondered who that was from.
If I could have the floor?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a notice of motion. We received $230,690 coming from the ACO for these streetlights. I'd like to put that into our reserves. We have to start building up our reserves. We have a large RCMP bill coming next year. And, well, we took a little bit out of our reserves today too. But I would like us to put that money and put it into our town reserves.
That's fair.
Under streets and roads or what, there's lots of
General,
different areas of reserve, so.
Streets and
Like
roads,
streets and roads is where your lighting
That's where our
is
big-
come from,
yeah.
so that's
our
where you
big
want
care of is gonna be
us
on
to
our
put it
streets and
into
roads.
that.
So let's put it in the streets and roads.
Streets and roads reserve.
Councilor Warwick?
Mr. Mayor, I'm just curious, in our interim budget this spring, if there's gonna be something that's gonna arise that may require some dollars, that may need to be allocated, you know, for an emergency basis or other, before, you know, I can, you know, consent to putting that full allotment into reserves. Again, I guess I don't know if we know that now.
Yeah, I will have, everything to you guys at the next council meeting at the end of the month, for you to look at where we're at with the spring budget and what your tax rate options are. So I will have all of that ready for you at the next meeting to make a decision then. So at that time, we'll be able to work with what you guys want to do, with the tax rate and where you want to set things. So the next meeting, I'll have everything for you.
So would it be fair in just making a suggestion that this might be premature, taking this allocation of money and putting it directly in reserves, when in fact we may need some of the dollars?
Well, we have not been building our reserves. Well, this was money that was unexpected. It did come in. I would have no problem if we address this topic about putting it in after our financial audit. But we really have to be building up our reserves. We are not doing it.
Okay, so we do have a motion on the floor to put it into
Yeah,
roads.
let's just go for that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Correspondence. Oh, sorry, motion to accept council reports for information. Councilor Thurl, all in favor? Opposed?
I didn't hear what was the,
Motion to accept the council reports for information.
okay, yes, I'm in favor. Sorry.
Municipal affairs letter 2026. Anything interesting in correspondence, Matthew?
No, we got lucky with a couple of grants, for the fire department and for Canada Day. So those are the two positive things. And then there's just a report from ACO on what they expect our franchise fees to bring in.
Awesome. Motion to accept correspondence for information. Councilor Rohrbach, all in favor? Carried. Opposed? Carried. All right, closed session. Motion to move into closed session. Counselor Cole. Favor?